Kim's got a backlog of information. Though before we get to Henley's headlines, I did want to follow up on one thing that people might have seen in Miami that I was able to ask about in Media Day yesterday with Tommy Paul. He and Artur Fils had one of the matches of the tournament. I guess that was the quarterfinals, I believe. Quarterfinals, fourth round. This is where my tournament amnesia comes into play. But, Fils saved 4 match points, and it was just a heartbreaking end for Tommy Paul at the end of that match. And I'm always fascinated as somebody who, in general, in life is a terrible loser. Like, I don't lose well. I probably do maybe off the tennis court better than I was on the tennis court. But I wanted to know, like, how did you get over that? And he said, well, I didn't sleep at all that night. And then the next day he said, it was really good that I was surrounded by the people that I like and I love and my friends. And the next day he went and supported his fiancée, Paige Lorenz, at one of her Dairy Boy pop-ups in South Florida. I was like, that's pretty amazing. He did say there might have been like some alcohol involved the night after the loss. Yes, but he said, I was surrounded by people I love, and they helped me move on, and I just kind of move week to week. How long did you hang on to a loss, like a really tough one?
I would say like the Grand Slam losses early on in my career, like the finals, especially, they stick with you for a few days, even longer, right? Like they're on the back of your head a little bit, the back of your mind a little bit longer. What I always find really hard was like going back, because, back in the day in Belgium, you felt the support, but you didn't have social media like you do back then. It was, the newspapers and the headlines and all that stuff. But what I found the hardest was like going over to my grandparents after like a trip, right? Like my grandpa, who's like, they were like my biggest fans. They were, why'd you lose? Like literally like that.
Gosh.
Like, and like against Justine, like why, like, it's like, I'm like, well, she was good. I didn't play well. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
sheesh, grandma and grandpa.
That's how I would come home. But they were so heartbroken. Like they wanted it so badly for me. And like, and they have no filter. So they would just say like, and then, like those were like the times where I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. Like, but it could make you laugh too after a while, right? But then the good thing is about tennis is that you could still, have the next opportunity literally a few weeks later. And I'll talk about that a little bit further when we start talking about Sabalenka and everything. But, losing the Australian Open final, frustration, and seeing where she's at now is that's basically what tennis is about. You can stay down on yourself and be very disappointed, and but the longer you stay in that kind of negative mindset, it's not going to help you in the next tournament. So to me, tennis, getting back out on the practice court, approaching what was coming up was always kind of my go-to move to try and forget about it as soon as possible.
And I also wanted to shout out the tennis fiancés at the moment. We have a couple in Houston, and Mackie McDonald, his fiancée, Maria Matias, I think is how you say her last name, also a fellow player. I think she's working through some injuries, but she's here serving as like coach, physio, psychologist. Nice. I asked, Mackie had a good win. He took out the defending champion Jensen Brooksby yesterday, and he said has just his fiance in his box, and he said she's doing all the things, and she's also the best looking coach on tour, which I thought was great.
Does it surprise you? Like, of course not. Like, that's
no, women are made to do all the things. All. Exactly.
I'm sure Brooklyn was Andy's coach, for a while too.
And sports psychologist, yes. And all the things. And Tommy Paul was also funny in press. I was asking him about his wedding planning. I think that's happening this summer. And he said, well, it's on a Tuesday, so you can't come to our wedding without taking time off work. Like, you have to prioritize coming to this wedding. And I asked him what he was most likely to participate in terms of the planning. I said, is it the dress code? Is it the decor? Is it the flowers? He's like, oh, definitely the flowers. And I was like, Tommy, what's your favorite flower? And you could sort of see the gears like grinding. So there was this dramatic pause, and he goes, peonies. And I was like, that's fantastic. This man is learning. He knows what a peony is. So it's neat. I think that personal side, obviously we're tennis nerds. We love to sort of break things down, but to see the personal side and to see these guys and learn about their lives off the court, I often find that it's those types of things that really endears fans to a player for life. You can love the way that they hit their forehand, but so often it's that personal side that really makes the connection.
And that will help him to get over the loss against Feast last week.
Right, exactly. Just look
flowers.
at flowers.
Just smelling the flowers.
just pick the colors of your peonies, Tommy, and move on. So yeah, lots of good stuff here in Houston. I will have some boots on the ground this week and an update from here when we talk to you guys next week. But should we move into Henley's headlines?
Yes, please. Let's go.
All right. Well, listen, everybody at this point knows the Sunshine Double has been completed for both Aryna Sabalenka and Jannik Sinner, as well as Katerina Siniakova and Taylor Townsend. Three of the four Sunshine Doubles completed. It's the fourth time the same man and woman have won the Sunshine Double. And Kim, this made my head explode. I like to think that I have like a clue of some of the stats. I might not be able to recite them off the top of my head, but I had no idea that only 5 women have won the Sunshine Double. Only 5. I'm speaking to one of them.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a cheat code. Do you know the other 4?
Well, I know Iga did it not too long ago. Is Serena in there?
No, Serena.
No, Serena. Steffi, probably.
Yep. So she was the first. She did it twice. She was the first to do it before you. So you were only the second woman to do it. That's crazy. In 2005, I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh wow! And then who is the last person?
Azarenka, Vika.
Oh.
Yeah. So
good.
Yeah,
isn't that amazing?
Yes.
How it's not that I remember it being so hard or anything.
It was like it was no big deal.
No, it's like you get into the flow of things, right?
Yeah.
Like I always loved starting in Indian Wells because I felt really good, whatever it was, something in the air. From the moment that I stepped like on the hard courts there, like I just always felt good. Like the timing was there naturally. I felt like I could see the ball well, like my vision was on point, and just always felt good. And I was able to, not always, but in 2005, luckily, I was able to carry that with me into Miami and kind of just build on the confidence booster that I got from winning Indian Wells and beating some really good players. And so I think it's very much so a confidence thing and to staying locked in, right? There's a lot of things, especially in Miami, to get distracted with and to, and so I think a lot of times it's that too, is like just the ability to stay locked in and to stick to the same routine, although you're in a different city, and just stick to the same routines. And to me, that's what it was like, probably for most of my career was to just, once I was on the road at the tournaments, I was like super locked in. And because my superstitiousness and if I wasn't locked in or if I wasn't fully focused and 100% committed to what I had to do to be the best tennis player that I could be, that to me that equaled like I'm gonna lose. Oh, if I go out, I'm gonna lose. If I don't, if I eat the wrong things, I'm gonna lose, right? Like it's a very extreme way of thinking, but you do get to that point where you just stay super locked in, and that's what. Yeah, that trip, especially for me, was just to not get distracted from the Miami energy.
What were some of your superstitions?
Oh, so many.
Really?
There's cities and locker rooms that I can name, hotel rooms that, my superstitiousness, like in my bag, were always the same. Like nobody could touch my rackets or my grips once my grips were done. Right, like I didn't want any sweaty hands or dirty hands on my
usually white grips. My rackets.
Right, seriously. Like once they were done, I was like, okay, they had to be in certain order. So let's say at the U.S. Open, like I had my favorite shower, right? So that started in 2005 when I won my first one. So ever since then, I, always wanted to, like, if I had to go to the bathroom right before the match, like I would wait if the toilet was occupied, like I would wait until it was open because I would connect that in my head to like, well, if I use another one, then, the chance of me losing is going to be bigger.
No way.
Yes, like that's how
love it.
bad like it can get. And I would literally wait until, the person, who was on the bathroom would be done. And I...
Didn't the Bryan brothers tell a story about this where Rafa was in their shower? Did you hear this? This might have been with Andy. Anyway, but I don't think you're alone in this is my point. Is that
no,
I do think that
the showers, it's the hotel that I stayed at in 2005. Like, I guess I messed up and I didn't book a few weeks before the US Open started. Like, I didn't book a hotel yet. And so the San Diego tournament director, Raquel at the time, she's like, oh, I have a connection to a place in the city. It was the Michelangelo Hotel, and they, gave me a room, and that was like my room for the next, probably still when I go to New York, like that's my place where I go stay at if I want to. And
that's amazing,
right? So just over time, like I just stuck to the same thing, the same foods in the morning, routines, warm ups. A lot of things. I mean, I can write a book probably about all the things that I, had in my head.
Oh my gosh. I'm jotting this down mentally so that we can have another episode where we do a deep dive into like what was your breakfast?
It was more energy-wise too. Yeah. Oh, definitely can name them all.
That's really well. I would think that having those routines though are so important also because it's such a completely different atmosphere, the Indian Wells to Miami shift, and obviously the conditions are different. You're going from dry to humidity. There are a lot of things that are changing, and so having the things that you can keep exactly the same, I can see that being important.
Yeah, and I think in general, the tennis world is just so many uncontrollables, right? Like timing of your matches or whatever is happening. Like so you hold on to a little bit of control that you can have in your own life, whether it's in your bag or in your room, in the hotel, or in your locker, or whatever it is. You kind of, become a little bit over the top. And I always say, like, I do think I was a little bit OCD back in the day. I definitely am not like that. But I think tennis definitely made me, or the pressure of it all made me be, a lot more superstitious and locked in.